Why would anybody go play for the Utah Jazz if there's not a draft? Like, how do you get people to actually play?
Wait. Where is that AJ DeBonsa playing right now?
BYU, I guess, but
okay, yeah. So I think these top prospects, these top recruits, are already playing for smaller market teams like Lawrence, Kansas, or where did Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper go play? They went to Rutgers. So the idea that all of these top players or top prospects would only play for Miami, LA, or New York is a fallacy. We see this time and time again at the college level that the top players who want the most money, the biggest platforms, they're not playing in the big metropolis markets. So I think what you're seeing is people are not excited about the change of this system, but are not looking at the merits of what we already see at the college level and overseas, that the draft level is very antiquated. And you heard Adam Silver talk about this at the press conference, is that it is an antiquated system, or he's looking at this as an antiquated system where you're forcing guys to go play for one team that has shown incompetence. And I think we have to head this off before you see Sacramento win the number 1 overall pick and it becomes a whole story about whether they're able to land the number 1 pick. And the pick says, hey, I don't want to play for Sacramento. So this is we're trending in this direction where teams are going to have to face the facts that these college prospects are already coming in with a lot more autonomy. They've already experienced what it's like to get paid millions of dollars and choose where they want to go. And now the NBA, I think, needs to get out ahead of a crisis where, because these teams are so bad and they've been tanking for so long, I think you're going to see some of these teams, these prospects, the Cooper Flags of the world, say, you know what? I actually think I'm going to force my way to a different situation. So instead of having that crisis in the years to come, I say just get rid of the draft altogether and go to a model where these rookie free agents can get more money at the worst teams. So you're having a rookie salary exception for the teams with the worst record. So you cannot just tank your way to landing a Cooper Flag. In other ways, you actually have to attract this talent like any other workplace in America. You say, hey, listen, we want the best talent here, but we actually have to prove it to you and let you decide where you want to go.
I'm always of the belief, because we're trying to diagnose problems in every league in America, right? Major League Baseball has problems, college sports have problems, the NBA is certainly no different. A lot of the proposed solutions that I've heard, yes, maybe it solves one problem, but it creates a few others. Let's stick on this idea of eliminating a rookie draft and implementing rookie free agency. Play this forward over the next 5 to 10 years. What are some potential issues that you could see popping up from this new system?
Well, Adam Silver, if you listen to that press conference over the weekend at Intuit Dome in LA, you could clearly see that he is extremely frustrated with the status quo, that up to 10 teams right now are purposely trying to lose games. This is a crisis for the league. When you have a third of the league with incentives to lose as much as possible in order to maximize their odds of having a superstar fall into their lap. Remember, Adam Silver is out here trying to say that the league integrity is the number 1 thing on their list. It's the top priority for the league, but he's also admitting that the league's incentive structure demands that teams are losing on purpose or incentivizes teams to lose on purpose. And so you want to talk about unintended consequences. He mentioned it. Economists would look at this system and say, this is entirely backwards. You're giving the worst performing, worst run teams the greatest advantage in rebuilding, in getting these superstars to come into their lap and play on a rookie scale contract. So let's just set the bar here that the status quo has a lot of problems. And Adam Silver is out here saying, we got teams that are sitting stars, Larry Markkinen, Jaren Jackson Jr. Oh, and by the way, the Sacramento Kings were doing this before the Utah Jazz, sitting DeMar DeRozan, a guy who was an all-star a couple years ago, sitting him purposely when the game got close. And so if you're looking at unintended consequences or negative externalities of a policy, we have to establish that the current policy is insane when you look at the fact that a third of the league is trying to lose. You can't have a 30-team league where by February they're trying to lose. So when you look at this free agency model for incoming rookies, remember, what I'm advocating for is that the teams with the worst record have the most spending power. So if you're AJ DeBonsa or Darren Peterson or Caleb Wilson or Cam Boozer, and you're looking to be the star, right? You're looking to continue this trajectory of being the star player and not be a guy coming off the bench having to share the ball with 3-4 other guys. They're not going to go play for the Knicks. They're not going to sign up to be the seventh man on the New York Knicks for 3 years. So the big boogeyman here that people are worried about is that they would all collectively flock to the Lakers, the Knicks, the Miami Heat. But when was the last time the Miami Heat got a top shelf free agent? When was the last time the New York Knicks got a top flight free agent? When was the last time we saw the Clippers get a top flight free agent? These are way overblown, the concerns that these incoming freshmen or incoming rookies would only go to 3-4 teams, when we know, because what they do at the college level is totally antithetical to that idea. If you want to see why this system would work, look at Cam Boozer. He's at Durham, North Carolina. Darren Peterson went to Lawrence, Kansas. The idea that these guys are just all they care about is going to big cities with big spotlights, it's insane. It does not bear when you see at the college level or in college football. Alabama is a powerhouse. If we thought that these millionaire athletes want to just go to the biggest cities with the brightest lights, they're not going to Tuscaloosa or Oxford, Mississippi. They would be going to New York. And last time I checked, there is no powerhouse college football team in New York, just like there isn't a college powerhouse in New York currently right now. It used to be St. John's, was really good, but we don't see top flight college prospects just going to New York and LA or Miami. It just doesn't happen. And so I think the trend would follow at the NBA. You wouldn't see this happen, because if Sacramento or Utah can offer the most money and have already made investments, like in the case of AJ DeBonsa, I think you would see a lot more, less tanking for sure, and a lot more competency in the front offices where they're not trying to lose for half the season.
What would you say then, Tom, to the Nike concerns? I've seen this repeatedly. You're smarter than I am. Nike will simply give people a bunch of money on the side to make sure that, as a shoe endorsement deal, to make sure that they can funnel athletes to the teams that they want. What would you say to that?
I think the shoe aspect is a little overblown. I had Brian Windhurst on the Big Number podcast this week that should be dropping on Wednesday. And he talked about how the shoe money has largely declined over the last few years because shoes don't move like they used to. So that's probably the biggest reason. Yes, there is Nike money. There is Adidas money. There is a lot of influence on these young players, but I don't think it's as much as it used to be.
All right, Tom, while we're trying to fix the game of basketball, we also tried to fix the All-Star game, which the All-Star game ended up being awesome, might I add. But one of our proposals to change the All-Star game, fix the All-Star game, a 2-night one-on-one tournament. First place gets $20 million. Second place gets nothing. It is winner take all. So on Saturday, we'll have multiple games happen at once, one-on-one tournaments, and then NBC could offer like a gold zone, red zone, whip around coverage from the entire tournament, go from game to game. What do you make of that? A big one-on-one tournament in place of the All-Star game.
I love the idea in spirit, in theory, that you would get all the best players going one-on-one, and it would be super fun. But I also think no one would do it. I think when you see the idea of stars are not doing the dunk contest, it's because of what happened to Richardson just a couple days ago. He became a meme. And most of these NBA players do not want to become a meme. The downside risk of being embarrassed on a crossover or getting dunked on in a one-on-one game far outweighs any sort of upside of winning that one-on-one tournament. I think if you're looking at social media and the impact on star players, is they don't want to become a meme. They don't want to become a guy who falls. You saw what happened when Chris Paul got crossed over against Stephen Curry. He fell over and he became a meme. Look at Michael Jordan crying at his Hall of Fame ceremony. He became a meme. Guys don't want to become a meme. So the downside risk, unfortunately, I think is dissuading a lot of guys from participating in the dunk contest or really considering the idea of a one-on-one tournament, because no player wants to get dunked on or crossed over or embarrassed on that kind of stage. And so for them, the $20 million pot while that might be appealing, I simply think that the downside risk for these guys, and John Moran has admitted this, he said, the upside just isn't there. It's all downside for me to participate in the dunk contest because of social media. Back in Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins days, look, he was the human highlight reel. He wasn't the human meme material, right? These guys, all you see is the highlights of these dunk contests. What you don't see is the missed dunks or the embarrassing moments of those all-star weekends because there was no social media. There wasn't a culture that clowned on people like you do see today. And so as much as I love the idea of a one-on-one tournament, I simply think that people are underestimating the downside risk of these star athletes. And you might think it's ridiculous, but if you talk to these players, they are risk averse when it comes to these things. They do not want to become a meme. And I think that is the thing that you're fighting an uphill battle on when it comes to the dunk contest and when it comes to something like the one-on-one contest, which I love the idea and concept. I just am pragmatic about these players and understanding they don't want to become a meme.
No, I've never felt smarter because, Tom, you just agreed with my only clap back to it. Is that, I'm just not sure people want the embarrassment. So that being said, this weekend was a huge success, at least on Sunday. We're seeing big TV numbers. There's a lot of discourse around that. What you saw on Sunday, is that sustainably cool as a new all-star sort of method moving forward?
I love that too. When they announced that this was going to be Team World versus Team America in this All-Star game, I was really excited last year because I think a lot of these bonds that you're seeing are more about where you're from rather than the team you play for. And I know we're all nostalgic for East versus West, but in the player empowerment era where it's a transaction league, you're not seeing guys with the same bonds with their teams when they're constantly switching over. You have to remind yourself, wait, Donovan Mitchell, I know he was just with Utah, but now he's with Cleveland. James Harden was with the Clippers and now with Cleveland. Wait, LeBron was with Cleveland and Miami, but now he's over in LA. These sort of confusing identification with one conference or another, you just don't have those kind of bonds anymore. So I do love the idea of going straight to where you're from rather than what team you play for. And I know people are going to bemoan the idea that there's no pride East versus West anymore, but I think the NBA was smart to draw in this Olympic style Team World versus Team Stars and Team Stripes. The only thing I would change here is figure out a way to just have the best American players playing the best international players. Just have Team World play Team America when it comes to a one-on-one team, maybe a best to 2 games out of 3. I think this diluting of 2 American teams, while it did kind of work out in America's favor in this iteration, I want to see the best of America go against the best of the world. I think that would be the apex of something like this. And I do think they might figure that out next year. The round robin thing, while it worked and the intensity was great, I do think that the best version of this would be all of the best American guys going against the best of the international. I will point out this. The international team was shorthanded. They did not have their best players out there. And so I think Wemby was great and the fact that they really got up for this game, but that was the B team outside of Victor Wembanyama. I do think that the best players from America versus the best players in Team World, that's what I want to see next year, guys.